Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. It is great to be back for another episode. And wherever you are tuning us in from and checking us out, we sure do appreciate it. We do have a special guest to start this show. We will talk NASCAR a little later. We will talk about March Madness at the Caraway Speedway, a great short track race that I went to over the weekend. And we are continuing to talk about the CKNA Spring Nationals in Charlotte, North Carolina, which took place a couple of weeks ago. We were there collabing with our friends at kartlounge.com, and one of the winners that took place that day was Zach Linsell. Zach got a win on Sunday at Charlotte, and he is now with us. Zach is a part of, he's got his own speed shop, but he's a distributor for MGM Chassis. And so we're excited to talk to Zach about all of that. First of all, Zach, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. And we're excited to talk with you about karting a little bit because you're still racing part-time, but you've kind of made the jump from the seat to the business side of this whole thing. So I'm intrigued by that. Let's start with talking about the win at Charlotte, though, because I think CKNA is the preeminent four-cycle series in the country, but I don't think it's even close, honestly. And the Spring Nationals is one of their biggest events. So what was it like to actually, considering you're not in the seat every week, what's it like to go take on those who are and actually get a win?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's always a challenge to just hop in the seat and just get going again. As the previous champion and winning big races, you're always really expecting more from yourself. And when you're a little bit rusty, getting back into things, it can always be a little bit of a challenge there. But and as you said, CKNA, the Spring Nats, huge race. Everybody brings their best, to it. So definitely a challenge. It was a pretty stout Masters field, to say the least. A couple of big names in there, and Eric Fagan, Mark Steele, and a couple of other people as well. Just in there and in the mix on everything. So it's really great to just get back in the cart. Paul Rice at MGM was like, "Hey, we got to get you back in, for one of these races here, in the near future." Him and I have raced, together for a long time, and yeah, he's been itching to have me, get back into one for one of these big races.
You've been racing for a quarter of a century. Actually, I think more than that, right? Over 25 years. But the thing that
Yes.
intrigues me is you've raced about everything there is to race as far as karting goes. You've been on dirt, you've been at road racing, you've sprint karts, you got national championships across the board here. What got you started in all of this? And talk a little bit about kind of the mental adjustment that you have to make to go from A to B to C to D because every type of karting is very different.
Yeah, I mean, started out humble beginnings up in Pennsylvania. It's way more dirt tracks than there are asphalt tracks. You can throw a stone and hit a dirt track no matter where you're at here. So, really started out of the back of the pickup truck. My dad and I, just getting going with that type of stuff. So, but each discipline requires a little bit different of a flavor to driving, just understanding. And I really think being able to do all of the different types just made me a much more well-rounded driver. I mean, even just starting out on dirt, it made it a lot easier to transition to wet weather conditions on road courses. But then at the same time, doing the road racing stuff, the higher speeds, bit more of just the strategy game, figuring out drafting, really timing passes a lot more. All of those things really add up to kind of just help make me the driver that I was. And those mental switches are definitely something that you have to really work on. And I know going into this weekend, it was really a lot of practice what I preach to the junior drivers that I talk about, and really going through visualizing, getting your head in the game, and being really focused on where you're at in the moment, and not worrying about the other things.
Does winning at Charlotte carry a little extra weight for you?
Oh, it definitely does. Growing up, the Gold Cup Series was the big road um, sprint kart
Yeah.
series out there. So that was where all the best guys showed up to. Charlotte normally was where the Grand Nationals were held. So there's always a lot of emotions, a lot of anticipation, for that race as we went to there. So coming back here for the Spring Nats, huge race. We had sat in the pole a couple of years ago in it was light or medium. I don't remember which one exactly, but was running those. And it's a little bit of a home track for MGM chassis, just overall. So just 15, 20 minutes down the road in Kannapolis there.
Yeah.
So that's the home shop there. So there's a little bit of nostalgia, but also at the same time, got to feel like you have to protect your home court a little bit.
Well, and that brings me to my next question, which is how did you get involved with Paul and MGM? They do a great job. They're one of obviously the top chassis manufacturers in this type of karting. How did you come together with those guys?
Yeah, so and as a junior driver, I was a long time Coyote team driver. So back in some of the prior days, way back, now at this point in time, but was kind of looking around for another chassis at that point in time, and had jumped onto Bandit chassis through a whole kind of mix of things. There was some issues, with the chassis and just what was happening at that point in time, and just being able to get them out there, looking kind of for an alternative. And Paul at MGM had something that was similar to the Bandit, but his own different flavor at that point in time. So it made the switch a little bit. Just seemed like it made sense. I know we had tested it back to back at a local track that I used to do a bunch of testing on. You know, same setup, same everything. The MGM was 3/10 faster every time out.
Wow.
So it made it seem like we've got to make this move. At that point in time, and then started to get hooked up with Paul, running, just his go karts, doing more of that. It was still my dad and I, racing out of a trailer, but close by to Paul's. And then as I got a little bit older, would travel down to Paul, and that's really kind of when GoPro, well, now Trackhouse opened up. We spent a lot of time there. There was kind of that growing, crowd there. They had definitely a lot of two cycles, but then 206 really seemed to catch on there. So it was a lot of testing, doing a different flavors, of the chassis, really kind of developing into what the espionage was, and then taking that to some of the Florida Winter Tours and winning some big races. And I guess at that point, kind of the rest is history. The team really grew from that point on. Um,
How how much two cycle racing have you done in the past, and or why have you gravitated to the 206 piece of it?
So I definitely, dabbled with some two cycle racing. Never really necessarily ran the whole series of anything, but would come out and do some bigger races, or even at some of the local tracks, hop in one. Some of the big races did the RoboPong 200. That was always a
Oh
big one
wow.
to kind of jump into and do that, and had a couple of pretty close, close to successful races, pulling it together, sitting in fourth before we ran out of gas with the 10 laps to go.
Oof.
My teammate pulled to the wrong side of the track, and it was just, it was kind of a heartbreak for us a little bit there, but, definitely had some good runs, in the mid, 2010s there at that point in time with some of those. So definitely did some of that, but the 206 racing it's super competitive.
It
It
is.
sometimes it's frustratingly competitive, but the fields are close. Just with the engine package, it keeps it from anybody really getting far out and away. Um, the only time we really break away is if two guys are really just working together to push. And even then at that point, it's always hard to kind of get back into the race, and you really have to be on your marks. I know this past weekend at Charlotte, there was one of the heat races. Mark and Eric were just working together and, getting away from me there a little bit. And it even almost started to happen in the feature. But you can't let that draft get away from you, or else you just can't make up that time. But the 206 package, it's affordable, super competitive racing. And I think it's kind of shown a lot of the big CKNA races pull out. We do have Brandon Jarsacrack show up, and I know he's, doing more of what I am now and running his own team, but
Yep.
he's shown up in years past, the Paulie Massimino, you name it. I think there's been a couple of other, big names from the 2-cycle side that have jumped over. And we've kind of had the flip side. I mean, you got to give props to Overbeck. He's really was big on the 206 side, and it seems like he's taken it to him in KA over the past year or so as well.
Yeah, James is doing really, really well, and he's evolved into like a scary good racer, right? And it's great to see that young talent continuing up into the seniors and then going over and being able to give the 2-cycle guys some fits. That's always fun. But I agree with the 206 being it's so competitive, and just as an observer and a fan, you might say I love it because you go to a race, you never really know who's gonna hit the hot setup. And as you say, there's so much that goes on with the driving part of it as well. With, if you fall behind a little bit, you got to try to draft your way back up or whatever. It's fun to watch that stuff. Tell us a little bit about Linsell Speed Shop. How did that get started? What was your motivation? You're located, I know, in PA. So tell us a little bit about what you got going there.
Yeah, so it really evolved really out of I had a mentor or two, as I was going up through the racing ranks. And, as you get a little bit older, yes, I've definitely, helped mentor some drivers here and there along the way, but it was something I wanted to focus on a little bit more. I knew as I was getting older and going to have a family of my own, it's, you're going to transition from being in the seat all the time to being out of it, at some point. And I wanted to set myself up so that I could still stay around racing without having to be in the seat every weekend and actually kind of give back to the sport. Something that, I've definitely seen, like, it's great that there's these big teams and, all of those things, but really trying to, yes, offer those tent spaces, but then also just the helping hand for the dad that's trying to get started, just in their pickup truck, and the ones that are just still coming out to the races, because the 206 class, that's the other half of it. I mean, yes, we have these grand marquee CKNA races, which is awesome to have, and it's great to see. But the reality is there's guys at local tracks, and they need that helping hand to kind of get in there, figure it out. Racing is a tough sport. A lot of people drop out of it within the first year or two just because of frustration. You spend a lot of money and a lot of time, and if you don't have that guidance, I think it's hard to get there. So I really want to kind of structure it, make myself a resource for people to be able to grow in the sport, whether it's at the local level, even to moving up to regionals and national levels, or even if you're, sitting in 30th position, in the national level, great. How do we get ourselves to 20th, fighting for top 10s, and then, moving up the ranks there. So really kind of trying to pass on that knowledge that I learned the hard way, probably.
Yeah.
I know my dad probably agree the same thing. We made a lot of mistakes over the years, and definitely had some ill handling karts. So trying to pass that knowledge on, like, hey, how do you guys adapt your driving style and do that as well?
I love that you kind of have the parts, but you do a lot of coaching, and you do it not just at the biggest races, but you drop to a regional level too. And I've always thought that karting is best when the very local levels, the local clubs, the smaller tracks are prevalent and functioning well, because I feel like it's kind of a bottom up. And now it seems like, in some types of karting, all we have is the touring series, and that makes it difficult for people trying to get in. But your program seems to cater to the beginner to the winner, not to use a bad cliche, but I mean, it's kind of common, but I think in your case, it's apt.
Yes, that's exactly, what I've been aiming for. Um, working just with MGM chassis, really understanding that, working closely with Paul and April. Um, it was really something, hey, I have this great relationship here. We have a chassis that, out of the box, works pretty well. That, somebody can use at a local track, but then also still take it to the national track and, you can win anywhere with it at that point. And Paul and April, they're very busy with Trackhouse, CKNA South, the National Series, all of that good stuff. So me being up here in the north and a lot of experience with the chassis, it's a great opportunity to be able to help the MGM customers up here, but then also just outside of that. 100% agree with the building up on the local levels and doing that. I know growing up, there was definitely times where some of the best races were just the local races that you
For
had
sure.
with, the one other guy that would go to the national circuit with you, and do that. But gosh, you were able to challenge each other there. But then also that trickled down to making everybody else better as well at those tracks. So it's really that balance and trying to grow there, because there's a lot of people that always, kind of come up to you and ask like, hey, how did you get involved in karting? And it's, I knew a guy that, knew a guy and we went somewhere, but how do we make it a little bit more accessible? And I know there's other kart shops out there that are doing similar types of things, but yeah, I wanted to do it up here in the Northeast. And we've had a really good hotbed up here in the past, and cranked out some good drivers. I know that Brandon Jarsacrack and myself, he was a little bit younger,
Yeah.
but we both spent a lot of weekends at Orville Kart Club, just down the road from both of us, at that point growing up. So, there's some really good drivers that come out of here, and the Maryland scene has always been really strong with pumping out some great drivers. So, hey, how do we, keep it going up here and build it up so that it's not just all the guys from the South or the Midwest or anything like that, and really get it going here.
It's amazing to me that when you go to a club race here at Trackhouse, it feels to me like a national event. Talk a little bit about that from your perspective, both as a driver and as a businessman, and then you can just slip right into the final question, which is talk about your schedule, where people can find you.
Yeah, so Trackhouse is it really is a national event. Every time you go there,
Yeah,
um, it the competition there was always great, and I think that was really something that ended up helping myself, just keep developing as a driver, and then also the MGM chassis just to develop. I mean, we were racing against stout competition week in, week out.
yep.
There was national level 2 cycle guys running 206s there, to keep sharp in between races, or just to run another class. So it really is a great atmosphere. I know that I make sure I tell even some of my customers up north here, it's like it's worth making just a trip down at least for one of their karting challenge
For sure.
races. It's something you just kind of have to do, experience that a little bit, and I know it's something that we're really trying to grow up here a little bit. There's definitely some tracks that are working on having that type of level of competition, and some of those things happening up this way as well. We've kind of seen it. It's been really great with CKNA having an E series. Although it's still a little bit more of the touring and it's not quite once a month. That's been great. I'll be at those races this season. Um, Woodbridge Kart Club, they put together a sprint series and are really trying to get something going so that there's uh, something up this way for those. I'll be at those races, and a couple of others. The Northeast Karting Challenge, they're also putting together a couple of things, working with a couple of tracks in between, and I think that that's another one that's really starting to develop into a little bit of like a mini stars or a track house type of feel, for just the classes and the offerings that they're kind of giving there. So I'll definitely be at those races this year and hitting up a bunch of the other tracks in the Northeast for some of the club races. The Maryland, the Nicholson, the Sandy Hooks, and United Karting, definitely would be at some of those as well to give just the support to the MGM customers and just those looking for coaching from Linsell Speed Shop.
How can people find Linsell Speed Shop on the web? Tell us where they can look you up if they want to talk about some kind of partnership.
Yeah, we're on the social media, so Facebook, Instagram. You can search for us under Linsell Speed Shop there. Can find us just online at linsellspeedshop.com. And if you put into Google, should come up as one of the top results there, and phone numbers there as well in the Google listing. So yeah, trying to make ourselves available where we can, but looking forward to the new season and what's on the horizon for everything karting.
That is Zach Linsell. It's Linsell. If you want to look him up, he is more than willing to talk and has over a quarter of century of experience to put into your effort. So Zach, thanks for taking some time to chat with us.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
And with that, we will take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk NASCAR. They were in Sin City, and oh boy, some stuff happened. We'll be back with all of it right after this. For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show, and we talk NASCAR now. NASCAR was at Vegas over the weekend, and whenever NASCAR goes to Las Vegas, first of all, I know I'm going to get good racing out of it, because Vegas, with the progressive banking, it doesn't matter about any of the flaws of the cars. It just seems like they're always running well. But here's what I didn't expect. I did not expect that the Cup cars would be basically running wide open during qualifying. I was totally blown away by that, and I'll get back to that here in a couple of moments. But I want to start with the Xfinity race, because in all honesty, I thought that the race itself was really interesting, and it's like part of me wants to break down some of the things like Jesse Love's earlier pit stop penalty and whatever, but I just feel like I beat on NASCAR so much that we ought to just sort of let it go for a week. So we had a great race to the finish. Let's hear from our happy winner.
First win for Junior Motorsports all time came right here at Las Vegas. Today, it's their 90th victory, and it comes courtesy of one of their best, Justin Allgaier.
And after such a strong performance last week, he finally gets his first win of the year. Hey, after last week and have that slip away, to come back here, back it up with another strong performance, how gratifying is it? How good does it feel to do what you guys did here today?
It feels amazing. This whole team, just I cannot say enough. The fans that are here, thank you. I hope we put on a great show for you. Eric and I were going at it, and hats off to him. He raced a heck of a race, and just so proud of everybody on this Jericho Camaro. I mean, to see the speed we had since we unloaded off the truck, and I was really sad with the sixth place qualifying effort, and to be able to get here, to have the Jarrett folks here, to have everybody. Rick Brandt, he's on the phone right here actually.
Hi, Rick.
Rick was here last night. He took us to the Journey concert, or not Journey concert, the Eagles concert, and it was absolutely amazing. All of our partners, Best Foods, Carolina Car Parts, Toughco, Chevrolet, the Hendrick Engine Shop, Hendrick Chassis Shop, every man and woman that works at Junior Motorsports. Just cannot say thank you enough, and how proud I am of what we have here. It's been special, and God is good, man. I got my whole family here. Mike Jarrett's here. First time we've been to Victory Lane with him. Awesome, it's been amazing.
Can't miss this opportunity.
Yeah! I know winning races, I've been lucky enough to win a lot of races in my career, and this one means a lot because I feel like we've been so close. And last week was right there, and we battled with Eric. So hats off to all the fans at home, everybody at Xfinity Mobile, everybody that's part of the CW. I finally won one on the CW, so thank you guys all, and hope the fans had a great time. Look forward to seeing the Cup race tomorrow.
The 19 did keep you honest at the end. How did you balance not mirror driving and just focusing out front there and doing what you needed to do?
Today's the word of the day was discipline. You know, not missing the bottom. You know, Eric had a fast car, and we kind of flip-flopped back and forth there a few times, and I got lucky. Actually, after the pit cycle there, I got lucky, and I was able to get by him with some lap traffic, and that was really the difference maker for the race. And just so proud of this team. I mean, I know that I keep saying that, but there's so many people that touch these race cars, and to have a race car like we did, to qualify 1, 2, 3, 6, really proud of the effort.
Well done. Justin Allgaier, finally a winner in Las Vegas.
Wow. I mean, Allgaier got the win, but man, Eric Almirola is a bad man. He is off to a really, really strong start. Of course, running a limited schedule this year. He and Justin, as Justin alluded to, have basically battled for 2 straight weeks and each come out on top once. It just is amazing. The Xfinity series, no matter the driver mix, it just seems like that series always puts on great racing, and Saturday was no different. Now, let's talk about Cup, shall we? On Sunday, Josh Berry. How much...
career start. Hugs his wife.
Josh Berry, how much more of a story could there be than Josh Berry getting the 101st win for Wood Brothers Racing? I mean, absolutely incredible to see that happen, first of all, and to see that it happens at a mile and a half, for me, was a bit of a surprise. I would have thought maybe a super speedway would have been the first place Josh won. Let's go to his winner view, and then we'll come back and talk about what this could mean for Josh going forward.
53rd career start. Hugs his wife. Josh, you are now a Cup Series winner. How does that sound?
Oh man, I don't even know what to think. Just awesome. I love this track. Las Vegas has been so good to me. I've had so many great moments here. Just struggled in the next gen car here, but man, Miles and this whole 21 team, everybody at Wood Brothers Racing, they gave me a great car today, and we just battled and battled and battled, and man, it was our day. I just can't believe it. Such a battle with Daniel there at the end. Beating and banging at a mile and a half is crazy, but whoever was going to get out front was probably going to win, and we were able to get it from him.
Josh, you joined the Wood Brothers in the offseason. This is just your 5th race together. What does it mean to you to drive for this legendary team and now to get them back to victory lane?
I mean, it's just incredible. They've just been so good to me. It's just been a great relationship, and obviously thank everybody at Wood Brothers Racing, but Team Penske as well. They've welcomed me with open arms and tried to help me and accelerate this learning process as much as I can. And I really can't say enough for Miles Stanley, man. Everybody, he is so good at what he's doing, and we have a great thing going on together. He really believes in me, and just got to thank everybody at Motorcraft, Quick Lane, Dex Imaging, Aero, Ford. I know they're going to be excited about that one, and man, we're just gonna enjoy this moment.
Go celebrate it with your team. I know they're ready. Josh Berry wins at Las Vegas.
So a couple things that I want to talk about here. First of all, Josh Berry getting the Wood Brothers their 101st win is pretty incredible. When you think about it, again, 5th start with a team, and it's on a 1.5-mile track. Not to say that the Wood Brothers don't perform well necessarily 1.5 miles, but it just wasn't the scenario in which you would expect somebody like Josh to go to victory lane. But he's actually run well all season long. And here's the thing that it feels like has happened here after Harrison Burton got the 100th win for the Wood Brothers. And you think about what that meant in terms of, cash in and points. And of course, their tie in to Roger Penske seems to really be paying off with Josh. I think the transition to Josh has been quicker than expected in terms of the success that they've had. But it goes to show you the talent level that Josh actually has. I don't think this is going to be his last win this year, and I do believe that you have to look at this 21 team and say they are absolutely a title contender. Are they the favorite? Too early in the season to call a favorite. But Josh Berry is going to be a driver that's going to be a factor in many races going forward this year, I believe. And it's just great to see the Wood Brothers having that kind of a success. Okay, now I want to talk about something that happened during the race, because this, to me, was pure genius. There was a pit save, so to speak, for Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell made himself a pit stop. And as you watch this, okay, Chris Bell, they're changing tires. Now Chris Bell leaves the pit box. They realize that they did not get one of the wheels tightened. So real quickly, his crew chief is saying, stop somewhere, and have him tighten the wheel. They end up stopping in the pit box of his teammate, Chase Briscoe. And here we are. So now we're going to jack the car up. Now, the controversy appears to be this. People are saying, well, is it fair that Chris Bell was allowed to do that when maybe a one-car team doesn't have a teammate to do that? Is this fair? And I have a quick answer for that. Yes. One, because, well, it's the first time we ever saw it happen. So now you say, well, is this something we need to worry about going forward? Should we ban it? Should we allow it? Should we not allow it? You absolutely should allow it. 100%. I don't have a problem with it. It saved him a lot of, number one, it saved the tire from falling off of the racetrack, which would have been a much more severe penalty than, just the penalty that he got by doing that. Do I agree that there should be, maybe you make it a little bit of a stiffer penalty, but an in-race penalty? If NASCAR feels they want to, but honestly, for me, this is not a problem. I thought it was brilliant, and I'm happy that it worked out the way it did for Christopher Bell. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Caraway Speedway becomes the focus as we go short track racing with a driver in his first ever test in a pro late model. Back after this. For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show, and we are going to talk short track racing. One of the things that I love to do is I love to be able to work with drivers who are coming up through the ranks and help them to get opportunities that they haven't had. And in this case, the driver that we're going to hear from is a driver named Brody Gunter, and he is from a little town in Florida called Stark. And Brody has been running really well in legend cars. He had a splendid career in the quarter midget class before he ever started driving legends. And actually, as we record this show this afternoon, he had the chance to jump in a pro late model for the first time with Randy Joyner Racing. I'll give you some details on how the run went after we hear from Brody. But first, here's the interview we got with him after the day was over. Brody Gunter has just completed his first day in a pro late model, ran a test session, 4 sessions in the car at CKNA Speedway here in Asheboro, North Carolina. Curious, Brody, you're 18 years old, you've been running Legends cars out of the quarter midgets, so this quite an adjustment. Run us through the day and talk about what it's been like to get into one of these cars and try to figure out what it needs.
Yes, so it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed every second of it. I got to thank Walter and them for the opportunity to let me doing this, but it was more of a first few runs of getting used to the car and then back to the track, not being here. I mean probably years, at least over 3. So getting back acclimated to this track, getting used to a full body car. It's its own beast in itself, a completely different thing from a legend car. So many different ways, being size, drivability, and handling and everything. So it was a huge learning curve today. I felt like I improved every time out. Maybe not times from the third to the last round, but in myself, comfortability wise, I never was uncomfortable. I felt like learning things, trying things. Yeah, even spin the car out once. We won't talk about that though. But
it's okay to talk about that. That's how you find the edge when you have a situation like that. You handled it well, kept it off the wall. That's the main thing. Crash clause did not come into effect today, so that's a relief to mom and dad. But what was the biggest adjustment do you feel like you had to make in your sort of mentality from racing a Legends to one of these big old cars?
I mean, probably first off the size, being on a full body car where you're sitting on the left side. So only my second time driving, I guess my real cars you see on the streets. My second time being in a car you sit on the left side of it. So adjusting to the size of the car and how you race on the racetrack with it was a huge adjustment. On top of that, like I said, the engine, how it rolls, how it corners, everything. So I mean, the biggest thing was size, but it was several of the factors that were a huge learning today.
So I guess the question becomes, did you enjoy yourself enough to want to do this some more?
Oh, of course. I mean, if it was any car, any track, I think I'd enjoy myself, but this was definitely a lot of fun. A crazy experience that I'm really happy I got to do. I got to thank them enough for letting me be able to do it.
So you had Jordan Black, who's been kind of a mentor and a driver coach for you, on the radio with you through the day. What kinds of things were you guys working on together?
Just, I'd say like small things that were probably major at the moment. I'm working on my line, my pace, adjusting to the car itself. He was up at the tower, reading out my lap times, helping me know this worked, that didn't work. So I got to thank him for stopping by today and helping us, and not just in this, but also outside of late models.
Brody Gunter, first time in a pro late model. He's smiling, and that's all that matters. That was Brody Gunter. And, it's interesting when you take someone from a legend car and you take them into a bigger car, full-size car. A lot of things to get used to, space from the wall, all that sort of thing. Just the speed of the car. Brody really did a great job. Want to thank Walter Stillwell and the team for giving him the opportunity to jump in and test the car. And hopefully we'll be able to get Brody into a race or two this year. But he really did a nice job. Okay, let's stay with Caraway for a minute and want to tell you that we had the chance to visit Caraway for their March Madness race, which was featured a 75-lap open race for the Tour Type Modifieds and a 62-lap Carolina Crate modified event, plus a bunch of other divisions. We did get some interviews with some of the winners, and you will see them. They are available at steeringwheelnation.com. Just head on over to our hub and you'll find all kinds of content about motorsports there. But the March Madness story will be there with the interviews inside along with some photos. Okay, we've got just a couple of minutes left here, and I don't want to let this show get by without just talking a little bit about IndyCar, because IndyCar, the next race on the schedule is coming up at Thermal, which is one of the most controversial races on the schedule. It's basically a private lapping course. It's not a course that was built for National Series racing, but it is a course that does feature some competitive racing for the Indy cars. It's not really a racetrack for them, which is why the controversy. I am actually intrigued to see how this year's race goes, because again, certainly a lot of speed in some parts of that course. It should be a lot of fun. And oh, by the way, there's been some controversy about Fox and the use of the fastest cars on the planet for Indy cars. Of course, the NHRA folks not real excited about that language, but I'm going to take Fox's side on this only because I think they're trying to say across the body of an entire race event, right? And so NHRA is basically its own dog. But I think the NHRA guys right now feature about the best personalities in the sport in terms of the American National Series. So if you've never watched an NHRA race on Fox, please give yourself the chance to do so. Okay. For more great content and stories, remember to tune in to steeringwheelnation.com, and we will be adding some additional video content coming up over the course of the next week from a couple of different racetracks along with our usual assortment. So make sure you get over there, steeringwheelnation.com. You can join our communities from the various types of racing and get the content that you want in your inbox each week. And of course, our 24/7 streaming page on PowerTube TV's site, watchpowertubetv.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Wheel Nation. And of course, Steering Wheel Nation on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on Instagram, oh, by the way, it's at Tom Baker TV. We'll look forward to seeing you the next time for the next Tom Baker Show. So long.